I'm here in my front yard, and it's time to roast some coffee. So what we got here, we have a West Bend Air Crazy popcorn popper, simple as that. We have some beans that I just brought back from a trip to Ethiopia. This is straight from Harar. We're going to use about a little bit less than a third of a cup. Sometimes I just use a quarter cup, but honestly I couldn't find it this time, so a little less than a third of a cup. Go ahead and drop it right in there. And we got 2 lid pieces here, but for now I'm going to kick it on so you can hear and see how it works. Now you want to make sure that it begins to rotate as the air is able to move in there. If you put too much in, it'll just sit there stagnant and it will burn the heck out of the beans on the outside, and the ones in the middle won't do anything. So between a quarter cup, maybe just a little bit more than a quarter cup, is the right amount to try to roast at a time. And okay, now you're seeing that go a little bit. We're gonna put this on and serve a little bit of energy here. But all right, so a little bit about coffee roasting. We're gonna shoot here for about 5 minutes, and so we're gonna go through a couple stages. And now, see, at first here you can kind of see some of the chaff starting to blow off there. That's kind of one of the first parts that's going to happen. Next, you're going to really start to smell that coffee roasted smell, which is just unbelievable. It's just amazing. Neighbors are always asking what I'm doing. And so that's kind of the caramelizing stage, I think is what it's called. No expert, which is kind of the point here. You don't have to be an expert to have fresh roasted coffee. One thing, the first milestone in this process that we're going to really look for or listen for actually, is called the first crack. It's pretty loud. We should be able to start hearing it here around 2 minutes in on this model. So that's going to be a little bit from now. But so basically I've already roasted up a little bit here. I've gone for kind of just a little bit past second crack in the process, and it kind of makes a let's see there, here's one that's not, that one didn't get roasted quite as well, so I'm going to pitch it out, because if you get these, if you have some of these unroasted beans or less roasted beans in your mix, it's going to cause us some bitterness. So as you go through when you're finished, kind of look through and make sure they're all consistent. Oh, okay, alright. So if you can kind of hear that, I don't know how well it's coming through, but second crack is beginning to happen. I'm sorry, first crack is beginning to happen, and it's a really loud snap, and it's the beans expanding as they're being roasted, and it's actually creating a cracking sound because the bean actually is breaking out of its original tight form. So you can see it's really bouncing around a lot faster there, because as it's roasting, it's losing a lot of its mass, becoming lighter and bouncier. So that's a big part of it. So we put that back on. Wait for a second crack here. You notice I'm outside on my grill in the front yard. The reason that is because obviously when you roast this, you're going to have a lot of smoke, and you're going to have a lot of this chaff running around. So don't do it on your kitchen counter. You're going to set the fire alarms off, and at the same time make a huge mess. So do it outside. Won't get in trouble that way. So we're really starting to go now. You can kind of tell it's getting a lot darker, but still pretty inconsistent. So we're going to leave that going for a little bit here. So you can see a lot of the chaff just kind of stuck to the outside of the beans. You can kind of go through, kind of clean them up a little bit. And there's another one that didn't get roasted very well. So that's the glory of using a $20 air popper rather than a $300 home roaster. You do have to get a few of this. Yeah, that guy's just not, it's just not as pretty as those other ones, so we're gonna go ahead and just get rid of it. It's only a couple beans. Alright, so I started to hear a couple of them here. Starting to get a little more dark. And you can start to hear that second crack. The second crack's not near as loud. So now that we're approaching second crack, we're coming up into light roast right now. And so we're going to go to medium. We're going to kind of wait for the second crack to happen. I'm going to go ahead and take this off. Kind of prepare this up here, because you always want to cool off your beans very quickly once you're done roasting. Okay, now let it bounce around, starting to get a little bit more uniform color. Second crack just finished. I'm not hearing any more, so we're gonna pour them out like that. All right, and these things are gonna be hot. Let's spread them out so that they don't continue to roast. If you just leave them in the popper and turn the popper off, they're going to actually continue to roast a little bit, and it's going to ruin your, well, it's just going to end up roasting them too dark for you. So, and here's a couple more, so I'm just going to go and grab those ones that didn't roast up quite as well. Nobody wants bitter coffee. Pitch them out for a little bit of. Now this is an interesting piece. I want to show you this. This is something that's really specific to Harar coffee. You kind of see that cup shape of the bean as opposed to a normal bean. Sorry, it's kind of blurry there, but that cup shape is really indicative of Harar coffee. Harar coffee uses a dry process, as most coffees in the world use a wet process, where they use water to blast the fruit off the outside of the bean, because essentially the coffee bean is the interior inside part of the coffee fruit. So essentially you can liken it to the pit of a peach or a pit of a cherry or something like that, except in this case we can roast it and brew it, and it's glorious. So that's lesson 101 on roasting your own coffee.